Hello guys, welcome to Android Made Easy. So the entire purpose of making this channel is to upload some series of videos where we learn how to develop Android applications using Android Studio. So this channel and the videos out here are basically for those people who are quite familiar with simple object-oriented programming concepts and have a simple or a basic knowledge of Java and what are XML files, how do they work, and what is the purpose of these things. So the first video out here is a general overview of the Android Studio setup, what the different tools, different libraries are here for, what is the functions of different tools of the Android Studio, different files here. And then the series of videos we'll be seeing how to build simple applications, then we'll move on to some higher level concepts. Hope the content here keeps you hanging in there and the pace of teaching is quite will be smooth and understandable for those who are new learners. So let's start with the first video of the general overview of Android Studio.
Screen that you will be seeing when you open a new project. So if you can see here, so whenever an Android opens a new project, it makes a folder called app. So this folder is actually a module which holds all your source code, all your XML files. If you open this, you will see there are some things called manifest, then Java, and then RES. So basically, Android has manifest, which means all the permissions are stored here basically. So speaking about Android Studio, the entire Android building application is divided into two parts. The first is the XML file that holds the user interface, the screen that you see on your mobile, the app, and the other part is the Java part where you have all the source codes placed. So we'll go line by line. So basically app is a module where everything is kept into all the XML files, all the Java resources files, all the Java files, all your app related permissions, everything is inside the app folder. So coming down to manifest file, here is something, it looks like something this manifest file. So if you see, it decides, so it defines your activity name. We'll see what is an activity. An activity is basically a Java class. We'll see that when we further open that Java subfolder. And you see your app project name is kept here. You can see your icons are placed. Your Android icon is kept here. And all the basically major permissions that you give is kept here. For example, users permission. Suppose your app requires a permission of using internet. So this is how you define the permission. So manifest file is basically for defining permissions, the launcher icons, the activity that you have used in your file, in your project. Coming down to Java file, again you have a package name. So this my.com.youtube tutorial one is basically nothing but it's a package name that I can see it here. So this package is responsible for holding all your source code, that is your Java files. If you open this, something called main activity opens. Now, what do you define an activity? So, activity is basically defined as a screen of your uh, project. So, activity one screen means one activity. So, anything related to that screen that is happening, you have to code in the backend in that activity. It's like a class. Whenever we code in any kind of web applications or Android application, anything we see is there's a HTML file for use front end and Java is placed in class and backend. So similarly, main activity and other activities that we create will hold the source code, and then we'll have XML files related to that. One screen, one source code. Now coming up to RES folder. RES folder is a major folder of Android Studio which is called as resource folder. It is responsible for holding all the resource files. Resource files as in all the XML screens, all the layouts, all the colors, everything, icons, graphics that we use. If we open this, we see something called drawable, layout, bitmap, and values. So drawable is basically responsible for holding all your graphic files. A simple example of this will be it is responsible for holding all your icons that you use or all the images that you use, all the graphics. Bitmap is a major graphics that we use is stored in drawable. extension of the graphic. Type of file is bitmap. Then you come to layout. So what I was talking before when I was opening this main activity, so this main activity is related to this XML file. So every XML file will have a corresponding Java class linked to it. So something layout means your user screen. So now if you come to this, if you open this activity underscore main.xml, we'll see the XML file is written here. This is called text, and design will have the user screen that is kept here. So whenever we make Android applications, so all the app widgets that we see on the screen, be it a list of, suppose it's a Myntra or Amazon site, list of shopping products, or Myntra's name, or a photo of a shoe, Nike shoe, everything, it's here. Image view is a photo, text view button. So we, in series of videos that will be posted here, we'll be seeing how to play around with these widgets on the screen. So for basically for time being, it's an XML file where you can see hello world is written in the middle of the screen. This is a text view. All the values that appears on the screen, all the values are changed from here. For example, hello world was there. I made it in my first video. Text style has been given bold. The text view appears in the center of the screen. That is made it called true. It is in color primary dark, which I'll come in next few minutes. So everything that you see here that is changed here has a corresponding text pattern of that XML folder, XML file is here. And something that you need to play in backend is kept in this all activities in the Java source folder, Java folder. Now coming back after layout, we'll come to bitmap. Now, as I mentioned earlier, drawable folder has all the graphic files whose extension is bitmap kind of files are kept here. All the images that we use in the application. So bitmap, the only thing that distinguishes a bitmap from drawable is that it's this resolution. For example, the drawable folder, all the if you have to keep all your icons, major, for example, the app logo, your launcher icon that appears in the first few seconds and disappears. Majorly it's for icons and launcher icons and the app logo. It is kept in the bitmap folder because of the better resolution effects, and all the graphic files are kept in the drawable folder. Now coming back to values, or coming to values folder. Now this values folder, you will see this the sub files colors.xml, strings.xml, and styles.xml. So these are responsible for holding certain values of some resources that we use throughout this app. For example, colors.xml. Now suppose you have to define certain set of colors for certain text views in every screen. For example, your app name Myntra or come on Flipkart is blue in color. So you want Flipkart, wherever the Flipkart logo or Flipkart text, if it is used in the entire application, it appears blue in color. So you want to change that blue color in every screen that the user sees. For example, on the cart page, on the first home page, then on the notification page, my orders page. So everywhere the Flipkart text is seen, it is blue in color. So you won't change in every screen. You will define in one file and then you use that. For example, I'm defining here color white by its hex code, that is 1, 2, 3. So if you see, the white color appears here. So wherever I use now, for example, XML, I open this activity underscore main.xml, and okay, white won't be visible on the white screen. Let's for time being make it black so you understand the difference. I have made a hex code. So whenever if you want to something change in the text view, I made it black. It didn't come. Okay. Yeah. So you see the color change from black blue to black. If it is not visible, I will increase the text size also again, and something new thing you will get to know. It's in black. So now I won't define this high in every, if I'm using this high in every screen, I won't give separate every time color. I'll define hex code 0000 in every file, XML file. Instead, I made a one file that is colors.xml. So all those colors I'll be using and all those text views, edit text, buttons or images, background, anything will be present as colors.xml file. Same comes for styles.xml, themes, strings.xml. So these are used to show certain resources, values, certain resources that will be used throughout the application. Now the major part comes is something called Gradle script. Now what is Gradle? It's the major and very important thing in Android Studio. So the entire process of compiling the code, converting and testing the code, deploying the code, running using external libraries, and combining everything, every different sector, and making a mixed final product called the APK that we see on our screen. APK file of a mobile mail application that we install is done by Gradle. So Gradle, what is Gradle? It is a build system that builds the entire process of making application. It compiles the code, it your external libraries, converting the code into .dex file, everything, and making a final product is presented called APK. This is done by Gradle file. It's a kind of a build system of Android Studio. So what we will be seeing here is something called build. Come to build.gradle module app. As I said earlier, module app is app. Android Studio makes a module called named app where all everything is kept under this tree, the source codes, everything. So build.gradle for module app. Now you see certain things here. You can see compile SDK version, build tools version, minimum SDK version, target SDK version. We'll come by one to one. What these four things means. Before coming to here, I'll help you to understand what does this word SDK means. SDK is software development kit, which is the main heart of this Android Studio, which is the entire thing responsible for building an application, building an Android application. It's software development kit. Now, this build tools version is the version that Android is using for building the mobile application. Compile SDK version is kept 29 here and minimum SDK version is kept 21 here. So what does this 21 and 29 mean? So they define the Android versions that this app will be launched into. So all those mobile phones that use Android version 21 to 29 will have these apps installed. So API version 29 is the latest Android version 9, I think, and 21 is I think KitKat. So all these mobile applications which have KitKat to the Android version 9 currently will have this application installed. Can be run. This application can run on those phones. So and something called Target SDK version. So currently I'm using version 27, that is Android version somewhere around 7. Oh sorry, 8 I think earlier. So so this target SDK version and compile SDK version are almost the same thing, but this target SDK version cannot be greater than the compile SDK version. That is, if target SDK version means I'm targeting this specific, I'm running this mobile application on specific phone. For example, I'm testing in this application in certain phone, so it has to be always lower than the general SDK version which I've defined here. That is 29. Then you come to something called dependencies. Now these dependencies actually define all the external libraries that have been used for uh, building the code. For example, here we see something called constraint layout. So an external library has been used, android.support.constraint, for using the constraint layout. So one thing that I missed when I was talking about this XML file, there's something called relative layout. So basically, Android has three different kinds of layout, or there are a lot of kinds of layout. Three simple forms are constraint, linear, and relative. We'll come to that in next series of videos. So what does relative layout mean? What does linear and what does constraint layout mean? Whenever you code, we'll come to that slowly and gradually. Now talking about something, the icons in the tool taskbar here. This stands for SDK Manager that I was talking about, the software development kit, and something called AVD Manager. Now, And AVD means Android Virtual Device. Okay, so this defines all those virtual devices. This can be tablet, phone, or TV screen, anything. So this set of virtual device that your Android gives an option to run your application. Okay, so if you're not running your application on a real phone that is on your phone, you can test the application on the virtual device. And AVD Manager, as the name goes, it is used for managing all those virtual devices. So for time being, what I've done, I have used Genymotion. So Genymotion is used, it gives you series of virtual device options, virtual mobile phones options to test your applications. So I've used Genymotion in Android Studio. For example, now I'm using a Genymotion version 7 and start. It will take a couple of 1 or 2 minutes to see a virtual Samsung Galaxy S8 on our Android screen. So whenever we run an application, we will see that it's run on the virtual screen as well. So this the virtual screen is starting now. So if you want to know how to set up this Genymotion file, you can go through this link, something called techbeamers.com. Here you have how to set up a Genymotion emulator first, and then how this virtual device here it is you can see on the screen. So if you can run an application, suppose a very basic thing, how to launch, how the app is launched on your mobile screen. Suppose nothing, it has nothing. It's a just one screen which says hi to you. And if you want to run, you can see here is a run button where you can have an option of deploying your application on a real device if you connect the real device by USB cord or by AirDroid. Or you can see connected device, you can see it shows your Genymotion Samsung Galaxy S8, which is API 24, that is 7. I did okay. Now the entire build system will take a couple of minutes. It will take 3 to 4 minutes easily for the first time to build the entire project. And after that, it will launch on the screen. Not every time it will take 3 to 4 minutes, but we just started a new project and we're building it for the first time. So it will run series of internal background processes to do that. The app is done building, and here we can see a high text view on the single app screen. That's a activity underscore main.xml file. This is the screen that we can see here. So we'll keep it till here for the day, and the next video we'll see how to build a very basic application, which will of course have more than one screen and more than one text view. We'll have some buttons out there, a drop down list or a edit text, and a lot of things that we can play around with, and a kind of registration form or a login form where after you click a submit button and it goes to a welcome screen or home page. Hope the content is quite understandable and quite easy for you to understand how to start with the Android Studio. So stay in there, guys. Hang in there. The content will be quite interesting in coming videos, and it will be quite good to learn Android Studio.